as I said, this is a live coding session. We're going to edit it mildly and post it on YouTube. But open your Visual Studio Codes. And if you have any questions, please type. Either I'll see it or maybe you will see it and then we'll respond. But it's essential. It's really useful if you code as while I'm coding. What I'm going to try to do, I'm going to make an attempt and as giving you a very quick crash course on HTML, CSS, JavaScript with some SVG. Then I will give you resources on how you can do these things on your own. Okay. Just as a quick intro, hopefully a lot of you have some basic understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These three elements together are the core elements of how you interact with the internet, right? How information is presented to you. In general, HTML is the content, is how a page is structured. CSS, cascading style sheets, is the style, is how you make things pretty. And then JavaScript is the interactivity, is how you make things be alive and just work. I will send you a link to this, but HTML is not even a programming language, is a markup language. So you basically structure your data. Remember I said XML in a previous lecture? HTML is a type of XML that's more specific. If you are doing live coding, before we start, one suggestion, because you want to see the way you do things, in Visual Studio Code, go to your extensions and install the extension Live Server. I have it here. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes for whoever is trying to do this. So extension is here. The way you actually want to use Visual Studio Code is to create a folder somewhere that you have access to and open that folder in Visual Studio Code. You can go to File, Open Folder, and open that folder. And then install Live Server. I've done this already, but do that. I'll give you a couple of minutes and then I'll start. If you have any questions, let me know. Yes, I can repeat that. So you do two things in the beginning. One, create a folder so you can hold your files. In that folder, you leave it in your desktop or somewhere. You can go to Visual Studio Code, click on File, and then Open Folder. Either on Windows or Mac, that'll work. Open that folder in your Visual Studio Code. And then go to Extensions, search for the extension Live Server, and then install it. Can you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you are trying live coding? How slow should I go? Okay, this is good. Great. Please do live coding because a lot of this, what you learn, will be just basically the beginning of your homework, and you won't have to do much after this. You'll have to just create some content. I'm basically helping you do some good chunk of your homework right now. All right. So hopefully you've got that covered. If you have installed Live Server, you will see a button right here that says Go Live. Don't click on it for now, but we're going to start. In Visual Studio Code, you can create a new file. So I'm going to click on New File. And again, this is being recorded, so you will have access to this information. I'm going to create a file called index.html. Index.html is the file that the web browser knows to open, right? So you wouldn't have to type the name and go to that specific page. That's usually the entry point of your websites. Because I don't know if you know, you're going to be making your personal website for this course and you're going to post most of your assignments on that. I mentioned it to you in the first class. So index.html is where you're going to type your HTML. If you type shift and exclamation point, it'll just give you a boilerplate HTML, so you don't have to type most of it. So shift and 1, essentially, and you can create this baseline HTML. So the HTML structure is very simple. It's HTML in general, shift plus one, shift and one. It's like it's like you're typing an exclamation point. Okay, so HTML is defined by a series of tags. These main tags, the notebook that the IDE for you is doing it for you. So the first one is telling the browser that it's looking at an HTML file. Then you have an HTML tag. These things with opening and closing elements are called tags, right? And then, so you already are telling the browser that you're looking at HTML again. Everything inside of this tag is things that will be part of your HTML. Head includes some metadata, the name of your file, and some important links to other things that you'll see. And the body is where you will create your HTML elements. So if I change the title here, that will be reflected as the title of your website. So essentially, the way you create a HTML element is by typing the opening and then closing elements, like this. Now I am creating an H1, which is a heading element. I'm going to type hello. I'm going to hit Control S. Now that I have something to show, I want you all to click on Go Live, which will open a new page, a local server that allows you to see and see how you're making changes. So if I say hello class, it'll just be reflected. You can create another tag below it. Usually you can just type, for example, you can type the name of the tag and then type tab and it'll auto complete it for you. So we are practicing HTML. Now I have just created a paragraph. P is a paragraph element. And we can see that under our page as well. Okay, so far so good, I think. Um, that's most of that is most of HTML knowledge. Like essentially, you want to learn some of the different tags and use it. I just second click my code and open with a live server. Oh, just on double, what you call it? Just double click on the HTML file and looked at it. That's what you're saying? Oh, sorry, I missed. Mary, please observe the questions better for me. I missed it. So it says, could you show us how to go live? When you install, there is a go live button here that for now for me says port 5500. I'm gonna close it again and show you again. This button says go live. You click on it and it'll open the page for you. Thank you. Yes. So I know if you click on an HTML file, it'll open in a browser and you will see it. However, that's not the live version. Yeah, so it's not a live version, but also there will be some issues with some of the more interactive stuff that we'll do. And that's why I suggest that you use a live server to make it easier for us. Okay. As I mentioned, things are created with opening and closing tags, right? So I'm just going to show you how I would create. Again, I expect you to study some of this on your own and with some of the coding. But I'm going to help you for now create a header for your page. The way I would design a header is that I would create a header element. Header is one of the newer elements in your page, right? And in HTML. The way you can do things, I would just paste the H1 and I'll put it in header and I'll just say my website, right? And then I'm just going to create a nav element. Nav can contain, is essentially created for your navigation elements in your website. So I'm just going to take the suggestion And as you can see, we now have 4 links. A is short for anchor, and it contains links that you can link to other pages. So you might ask, what is this href thing that I'm seeing? In general, elements have something called attributes. These attributes are important information for the browser to know how to do things, how to deal with things. Some attributes are essential. For example, for a link, for an anchor tag, the href attribute will tell the browser what is the path that it needs to go to. So for now, we don't have paths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new page so we can link to it. You can make a new page like a visualization.html, right? You can do that. But I want to do something else. I'm going to create a new folder, call it visualization. Inside of that, I'm just going to create another index.html. Now, instead of, we can just use slash visualization slash. All right. AI wants me to make it visualizations. Sure. Now we have a link to the index.html file under the visualization folder. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy and paste the same HTML code because the navbar will be repeated. So now, if I click on visualizations, I'm going to the visualizations page. It's exactly the same. So we're going to create H1 that says visualizations. And under home, I wrote visualizations inside of the, so this is an H1 tag, that is a heading tag. And here, I'm just going to say home page. So you see that now we have 2 pages. I'm actually going to change the about to, this means just the root tag, like root path for your page. I'm just going to type home. So now I have a home link and I have a visualizations link. If I click on visualizations, I'll go to the visualization page. If I click on, I need to go to the visualization page and change that to home as well. The nav bars should be the same. Now we have 2 navs, right? If I click on home, I'll go to home page. If I click on visualizations, I'll go to the visualization page.
Would you please also mention that they have to maintain the hierarchy of header bundles?
The what?
Hierarchy of headers. They should only have one H1.
Yeah.
Semantic use.
Yeah. That is a good point that Mehdi mentioned. In general, the HTML that you create has these meanings to it, right? H1 is heading level 1, right? For any of you who've taken the 235s of CIAT, know that it's really important to maintain not only visual hierarchy, but HTML hierarchy because it's important for accessibility and all of that. So in your page, the top level headings should be H1s, for example. Then if there's another heading, you should use H2, and then so far and so forth. Obviously, you can go ahead and change the style of those things. I'm just going to show you how to do that soon. But yeah, you wanna do that. Any questions? Everyone is able to see their visualization and home pages. These are 2 of the pages that you will have for your assignment. Okay. Because I haven't. No, because the visual, that's a good question. You're right. Maybe that should be a. Actually, my website shouldn't probably be an H1. Probably the homepage should be H1. This could be, I don't know, because it's a smaller logo, right? It could just be a text or something. That is a very good point. We don't necessarily have to have only one H1, technically. it's just for semantics. This text could only also just be a logo. But yes, good point. And another thing is that I don't expect for all y'all to be just amazing at making a semantic HTML because it's not super easy, but just try your best. We'll share resources on how you can check it, check how good your HTML is designed, but also in general, you just want to do more because that'll make your website just better. Okay, so what's next? Now I'm gonna start adding CSS. For now, I'm not doing anything for the HTML. I'm gonna show you how to link a CSS. So close under the main page. I'm just gonna create a file, call it styles.css. Okay? Styles.css is where you do the styling of your page. So your HTML page needs to know that its style is written in the styles.css file. The way you do that is under head, you create an attribute, a tag called link, and this is probably going to be in all of your pages. And then link also has an href, and the href goes to styles.css. Now your HTML knows that you are writing your CSS in a separate file. There are other ways to write CSS. You can study those on your own, but I'm trying to show you some organized way of doing things that makes your doing your work much simpler. So the way CSS works is you you essentially select an element or elements, and then you tell how they should be styled. There are multiple ways of selecting elements. These are elements. Each of these is an HTML element, and A is an element, H1 is an element, a combination of those are elements. And since HTML is hierarchical, you could select a bunch of things just by looking at their parents. And parent,
There's a typo in your code.
thank you. Styles.css. Is it correct now? Yeah. All right. So the first type of selection is just by using the tag names, the element names. H1 is a name. Nav is a name, right? P, let's just add a P that says I am a One Piece fan. Assumingly, this is my personal website. Okay? I'm a One Piece fan, so now we have a paragraph as well. So how do we style things? The first way is by saying, hey CSS, select all paragraphs in my page and make their color red. Okay? See that how this paragraph changes color? This is telling that every element that has the name P, which is a paragraph, should be colored red. So if I add another paragraph that says, I love watching AI is doing crazy things here. I love watching anime and reading manga. It will also be red. You can do all sorts of things. The way you change something is by first giving the. Now let's look at the CSS because my English is breaking. Hold up. Yeah, so this is what I call the CSS property. And the value, so the property comes before a colon, and then the value comes after. And so another example is that you can just say font size, you can say 50 pixels. Who cares? So we're gonna have really large text. Obviously, we're not gonna do that, and just use 20 pixels for now. Okay? Cool. Obviously, we don't want our color to be red, so we can change that back, and we can move on. CSS there's a lot of things you can do with CSS. I want to show you for now how to set up like a header for your page. Okay? So let's look at it together. So what are we looking at? We have a header. So I'm just going to say header. And then let's just do a background color for the header and then use, I don't know, some color. As you can see, now this part of our page that is our header has, I hate this color, so I'm just going to change it to light gray. Okay? What else can you do? You can give it a padding as well. Padding goes around your page, your element, and does this. So your element has a little bit of a breathing space. Also, here's something that you can do for your page so that there is not like a white element around it. There's not a padding, so you can select multiple elements together by doing this HTML comma body, and then you can set the margin and the padding to 0. Okay. So now what can we do? I want to move these elements to the right side of this nav, to this header. So let's look at the HTML. We have this H1 and we have this nav. There are two elements under header. And they're under nav, so these two are the children of the header element. And under nav, there are 4 anchor tags that are the children of this nav. One way to achieve what we're doing, and you can find other ways on your own, but one way is to use a flex property. First of all, let's look at CSS, look up CSS flex. There's something that allows you, sets how a flex item will grow or shrink to fit the space available in a flex container. It's a really useful way to getting things to align in their parent component. So you can look it up, read on it. It's one of the more useful things in CSS, in my opinion. So I'm going to set, you always, for a parent, remember I said the header here is a parent and I want to make the nav go to the right. So you set flex on your header, not on the children. So here I'm going to go say display flex. Okay, so far so good. When you do flex, then you can also align your items. Now they're center aligned. And then you can justify them. Space between sends the 2 elements to both 2 sides of your page. If there are 3 elements, let's just say that we have a random p here that says hi, it'll just show up at the center of those 3. But for our purposes, because we have only 2 elements, this works. You can also nick your nav flex if you like. So you can say the nav, which contains these 4 anchors, should be flex. Why? Because you can use the gap property to set gaps between your items. So you can control how things are shown. So I can say 50 pixels if I want. Or I can say 12 pixels if I want. You can also set I believe you can set the font size of the children by saying something like this. So you can set the font size of the children of an element by using an attribute on the parent. So we've now told the browser that any text inside of the nav should be 12 pixels. I believe you can also do this. You can just say, you can just set this is compound selection. So you can say select all anchors under nav. So I can just say, okay, make their font size 12 and don't decorate the text and make the colors black. So now they look like links a little bit more. So to repeat, here's how you select something inside of a parent. Any questions so far? Okay. So we have enough CSS here. Again, I'm not going to, you can ask your questions later, but this is the basics, right? I'm just going to show you a couple of more things. Let's just say that we want to, I want to show you another way of changing or selecting elements. In HTML and CSS, you can have IDs and classes. IDs are for one individual named element in your page that you want to address directly. Let's say for some reason I have this H1 in my nav that I want to style differently. Again, you don't need to use H1. I just went with it, change it later, do something more correct. But let's say I want to change this specific H1 in my page. I give it an ID, and now I can just come in and just say header logo. You're now telling the CSS that you are specifically targeting one element that has the ID of header logo. The way you select an element with an ID is using these hashtag icons. So now you can set the font size for that. And you can actually set a color for the element that you selected as well. Okay? So this is how we select something using a logo, using an ID. There's another way to select something, and that is using classes. Classes are for elements that are of a same family. You want to give them a name. Maybe you want to say all of those elements that are selected. No, I will show you dots again right now. Using dot is for classes and hashtag is for IDs. That's a good question. I will show you dot right now. The heuristic for when to use IDs is whenever there is one thing that is unique in your page and it has a name, like your header could be unique or my hero image could be unique, then you will give it an ID. Unique things can get ID. You can have more than one unique ID for elements. Classes is for things that are of the same family. I will show you. So here we can, let's say we're in our home page, right? Let's say that we want to have a selected class because we want to change the color of the selected page in the link. So I can then use a dot selected and then say make that bold and make that color different. So now when we are in home page, your home link is selected. And now let's fix that for our visualizations page as well. In our visualization page, we need to link to our CSS again. We need to link to styles.css, but the styles.css is under the main page, so we need to give a path, a correct path to it. So to go outside of your directory, one page back, you can use dot dot slash. Now, if I haven't messed something up, this should take us to our visualization page. I will update my header, copy it, and paste it in the visualization page so that I have the same code. So now I will make the visualization anchor selected. And now what you can see is that when you go to this page, that link is selected. When you go to this page, this link is highlighted. However, just for practice, you can give a class to multiple things when it works. So now, when I'm in the visualizations page, because I have two items of the class selected, even though I have not written any more CSS, two of my elements are changed. Okay, so far so good? All right, I'm not going to teach you much JavaScript in terms of programming, but I'm going to show you how it works in the context of an HTML or CSS, like in how we set things up. But then you can figure the rest of it out.
Somebody has asked a question.
What is it?
Yeah. I don't know if you've answered, but it says nonce dots header logo.
Yes, I've answered it.
Answered.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm now going to create a file called script.js.
Could you elaborate how you create the visualization tab?
Here? Is that what you're asking? I will repeat what I showed. Yes, I will repeat what I showed. So remember, we have a header element here, correct? The header has an h1 that says my website, and it has a nav that has 4 anchor elements. One of those is an anchor that leads to the visualization page. I copied the whole header element and took it to my visualization page's index.html and pasted that. Okay? What I have done to create this effect of colors changing when a class of something is selected is that I created an element, a class selected for myself, and then in my style.css, I went dot selected, and I just said the font weight of that element, any element that has the class selected should be bold, and the color should be dark blue. Okay, so now all that I did for my home page, I set the class selected for my home anchor, and in the visualizations page, I set the selected class for the visualizations anchor. Oh, there is a way to make text wrap. Can you look it up, maybe? In the text wrap in Visual Studio goes Alt and Alt Z. Boom. Thank you. Very nice. Alt Z. Okay. Any other question? Does that answer your question, Shiki? Cool. Okay. So now we have created a script.js. We want to tell the browser to load the script. Honestly, I don't remember if the script text should be outside. I think it should be just under everything below body. Just type script. You can type JavaScript inside of the script if you want, but what we want to do is give it a source, script.js. And also, you want to tell it that the type of that source is JavaScript. Now, you can type your JavaScript here. For us to test whether our script is working, you can go to your JavaScript and just type console.log script.js loaded. To see whether the outputs of your console in your browser, you can click on your page, go to inspect, and then you can go to console. And then if I go to my home page, because I have a script in my home page, I can see that my script.js is loaded. So now I know that I have access to JavaScript. Okay? Sounds good. So similar to CSS, and I'm going quickly because again, this is like a very rapid crash course. You can select elements in JavaScript. So I can just say, I can give my, let's just say the ID is main title. Okay? I want to select this. I can go document dot. I can just say let main title equals document dot, come on, dot query selector. And with query selector, you can just go main title. And then you can set the style dynamically. So I can just go I can tell JavaScript to go ahead and change something about that element that I have selected. This is useful, but this is not something that we want to do. I want to tell JavaScript to add interactivity to my element. So I can just say main title dot add event listener, click, and this is called a callback function. In JavaScript, for many of these events, you can tell it to call this function. This is an anonymous function. Again, you can look what these mean, but whenever someone clicks on main title, this function will be called. And you can type, hey, why the hell are you clicking on me? Okay? Now, hopefully, if I click, I'll see something happen. What alert does is to open an alert thing in your page. Any questions? Oh, it's using the function alert. Here, let me repeat this. There's a main title, which I have selected, document.querySelector, and I've used an ID. And then I'm just going to say, hey, JavaScript, select, get that main title, and add an event listener. Anything that happens in your page, yes, no. Good question. Alert is a built-in JavaScript function. You just have access to it. You can just say, alert, welcome to my website. Don't do this. It's very annoying. But this just happens when the script runs. You can use alert anywhere. Does that answer your question? I will not upload the code on Canvas. However, I will upload the code on GitHub.
Like a similar code already exists on your first assignment description page, where you can use as reference, but it doesn't contain much detail comparing to what they have to do for their second assignment.
I meant like how to make it pop up on the live port. I don't understand your question. Could you clarify more?
Did you answer Manmeet's question?
Yes. Yes. So here, let me repeat this part again. I am telling JavaScript to select this element that I have called main title here. Okay, so what is it? How to make it pop up on the live port, sorry, should have played. I saw something pop up on the web page itself. Oh, if you just call alert above everything, it'll it will just run before everything else, and you'll just see it when the page loads. Is that your question? Okay, cool. Yeah, don't do this. I was just telling you to that alert is a JavaScript function that you can use. It's console.log. Okay. So we figured out a little bit of how to make things interactive. We figured out a little bit of CSS. Obviously, this is like a weird interaction. So now I'm going to, under the visualizations page, I'm going to show you an, oh God, save. This visualization page does not have any JavaScript for now. So I'm just going to go to our visualizations page and create like a div. Div is a division, and I'm just going to call it, yep, visualizations container. It's fine. And then under that, I'm just going to create an SVG. SVG. SVG has two very important attributes. SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. Okay? And you want to. I will stop having AI suggestion from the next session because this is the most annoying thing for me right now. Like it makes me all distracted. So you can give your SVG a width and a height. So if I click on inspect, why is it? Oh, okay. You can also see your HTML, and this is something you should regularly do. Go to your inspect, DevTools inspect, and just see where your HTML is doing, because some things are not visible. So see, I have created an SVG element. SVG is where you can draw things using scalable vector graphics, like Illustrator. Illustrator does the same thing. You have now access to vector things, vector elements that you can draw. You can create shapes. And you see why I'm showing you how to do SVG, because it's very natural to create visualizations with SVGs. Okay, so let's come here. I want to show you that under HTML, in W3 schools, you can go to HTML SVG and just learn. This is just something that you need to look up a lot, right? But let's say I want to create a circle. Okay? I want to create a circle. What a circle needs is a X, a Y, so that is where it should be located on your SVG canvas, a radius, and then you can also tell it to have a bunch of other things. SVG is a special kind of HTML element that should always go under your SVG element. So I'm just going to give it CX, and I would say put it at 50, CY, put it at 50. So this is telling it which coordinate in your canvas should be located. And then I'm just going to give it an R of 40. Just going to give it a fill of blue. So let's now, as you can see, we have successfully created a circle. So I can make my SVG larger. Let's say the width should be 800, and then the height should be 400. Now, if I click on inspect, you can see that it's a larger element. So I can just come to my CSS and say SVG, it should have a border. So you can just see where your canvas is for now. You might wonder why, even though we did the coordinates of our circle as 50, is coming above our page, because naturally you always do the bottom left. That's just how SVG works, and many graphic system works. This is the 0, 0 point of your canvas. So X goes from left to right, and Y goes from top to bottom. This is how you do things. So if I want to create another circle, it's very simple. I can copy and paste, and then just make the Y be 200. And then I can just make the color red, and then I can make the X also 200, and then I can make the radius 100. Okay? Let's make some interactivity here too. I create another JS file under my visualizations folder, and I'll link it. I'll just go script, and then I'll say source is script.js here, and pipe is text JavaScript. So let's test if our script.js is loaded. I'm just going to come here and look at console. Yes, it is loaded. I'm going to say circles equals document.query selector all circle. Actually, yes. I want to select all circles. And then I want to say for each of those, in JavaScript, you can loop over a selection. And then I'm going to say on each of those, do something when I clicked on it. So let's just say I've clicked on this. It says you've clicked the circle. I've clicked on this. It says you've clicked the circle. But we want to do something more fun. We want to say circle. Let's say we want to change the attribute to green. See, you can change the color. Or you can just say random color is some random hex, right? So you can just say, whenever you click it, just make it a random color. Okay? So you can do all sorts of fun stuff with HTML and CSS and SVG. That's why we can create interactive graphics. That's how we can create pop-ups. We can do things. We'll learn some of that. But this is like a crash course on how you do things. Okay? So we've created our first visualization. The only thing that you cannot do for this assignment is this exact thing. Because in the assignment, we have asked you to create some weird SVG based art. So do whatever you like, but it should be something interactive. And make a visualization. So I'm going to show you how to make that visualization. So I'm going to create another SVG by simply pasting things here. Okay? And I don't want to have anything in it. So I have two. I'm just going to make this 500, a 600 by 400 canvas. And let's just make that a 600 by 400 canvas as well. So we have two visualizations. And then let's just make a rectangle. Rectangle elements are called rects. And what it needs is, instead of a CX, you just give it the starting position of the rectangle, the Y, the X and Y of that. You will give it a width and you will give it a height. And then let's just say this is like that. So here we have created a rectangle. Okay? So let's just make the height. The height is this way, 50. Right? And then the width is, imagine, then the width could go from 0 to the width of the page, right? So it could go to 600. See, we're just manually drawing a bar chart. So I'm just going to create a bunch, maybe 4, right? And then I'm just going to set the y's to, I don't know, 100. The height is 50, so I'm just going to make it 105. I want to create a gap of 5 between them. And then 155, and then 200. And is that correct? Yeah, so this should be 105, 160, and then 210, 216. I'm very good with math. So then let's create a new one. I want to test myself. So what's 215 plus 55? I don't know. 70? Thank you. Boom. We have 4 bars. So now you can set the width of the first one to 40, and then 70, and 800, and then 500, and then 600. How about 300? And then maybe 450. Okay. Yeah, you know why we're with, because the width of the whole SVG is 600, and the starting point of our rectangles is at 50. So the maximum width that we can give it to stay in canvas is 600 minus 50. So 550 is the maximum. So if I do 550, this wall will go all the way to the end. Okay, and then you can give it, and we have a few minutes left, you can give it a text to create a label for it. So let's say for rectangle 1, the position should be, yes, I will post the lab recording as well. For sure. So the X position should be at 20 maybe, and then the Y should be at 50, 0. SVG text. What does it need? X, Y, and then sample text. Oh, the fill should be black. My apologies. So here's our sample text. So obviously it's starting at this point. That's why it's like the corner point of your text should be maybe 10. And then the Y should be, I think, 50 plus 25. So that makes it 75. So that will be at the center. And then we can just say font size. You can make it smaller. And say title. And that will be your access title for your thing. You'll figure it out, make it nicer. So you can create a table. So that is essentially your visualization, one of your visualizations that you will type with SVG. Yes, you will have to connect it to GitHub.
Since we are like 5 minutes to the end of the lab, I will record a video to explain them how
Yes.
can begin working with GitHub. So yeah.
We'll post a video tutorial for you how to create GitHub pages.
If they add 235 with you,
yes, you've already done it
or
before.
339 in the summer, they already know how to do it.
Yeah.
But we will post them some tutorials.
That's it, folks. I think that's all I needed to show you. Some JavaScript, some interactivity, some SVG, some HTML, and some CSS. This is the fastest crash course that I was able to do in terms of most of the things they need to learn. This website, W3 School, is your friend, especially the CSS part. It'll teach you a bunch of the things that you need to learn. But obviously, you're going to ask ChatGPT, it's fine. If you ask ChatGPT to generate code, please share it. Riley, yes, I will post a website example for you, for sure.
Quick important reminder. Guys, please don't leave your questions for Sunday evening, okay? Like we post project and assignment descriptions for you Monday night, Tuesday morning. In the first few minutes, you can take a quick look and ask questions, okay? We try to be available most of the times, but we also have limited time to respond to you, okay? We want to make sure to be able to answer most of your questions. So please don't leave them for Sunday evening or Saturday noon, okay? Yeah.
All right, so that sounds good. This was not even a crash course, but basically what you need to do to prepare your website. If you have questions, definitely let us know. But I highly suggest I will create a repository of sort of some best resources that I go to learn stuff. You just need to practice, but make your personal website. As I said, the goal is for you to have the most awesome portfolio website for whatever you want to use it for. So we're going to get there. And you're going to have some really cool visualization examples in there. So thank you all for being fun to work with, and we'll be in touch. Requirements for assignment 2. Oh, oops. Everybody's trying to say thank you, but also, what do you mean by generating SVG with the JS? Can we just do SVG in HTML like you did? The assignment is asking you to, this is the sort of the part where and I will give you an example for that. The two things that you want to create is we generate this visualization, but with your own data with a for loop. I just want to see that you can do coding because we're going to do some coding later. So you essentially will generate 4 rectangles in JavaScript, and then you will loop over it, and you will create it. Oh, Riley, thanks for the academy. The meme king. Does that, Joseph, answer your question? So in their project description, we explain what we expect them for the JS. Yeah. Yeah. So they will make. So please read the assignments now or tomorrow and let us know if you have any clarifying questions tomorrow so I can answer your questions. But in general, the 2 visualizations you will create with JavaScript, I will give you example code. Just use your own data. Just don't repeat exactly what just make it meaningful, just how like the sketches that we created. And for the other visualization, make it as weird as you can. That gets extra grades. Weird and fun is my goal. All right, y'all. Have fun. Take care.